yes if you approve of holding this meeting by electronic means. And I'm going to say that that vote will also serve as our roll call vote. So Marianne, will you take a roll call vote? And those members present, please indicate by saying present and approve. Marianne, I think you're muted.
Is that better?
Yes,
I can't tell if I'm on phone. Yeah, okay. All right, Chair Purrier.
Present and approve.
Vice Chair Harris.
Present and approve.
Mr. Wilson.
Present and approve.
Councilman Fennell.
Present and approve.
Mr. Strouser.
Present and approve.
Ms. Hibbler.
Present and approve.
Dr. Orgain is not in yet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Then I will call the meeting to order. And we'll begin. Albert, will you lead us with an invocation?
Yes, sir. Father, again, we come before you. Thank you for this opportunity to serve. But we thank you, Master, for watching over our community, for your protection. And we ask you to continue to keep us in your care. Bless the respective officers in their respective places. Allow us to do the things you would have us to do, that you get all honor, glory, and praise. This in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Albert. I have a picture of an American flag on my coffee mug, but Mr. Wilson has the real thing in the room right behind him. So, Mr. Wilson, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, individually, with justice for all.
Mr. Wilson, do you have minutes, prior minutes to submit for approval?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got minutes dated June the 8th and June the 22nd. I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Wilson. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Any discussion on the prior minutes? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Marianne, will you please take a roll call vote to approve the minutes?
Chair Purrier.
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson. Councilman Fennell.
Aye.
Dr. Orgain. Mr. Strouser.
Aye.
Ms. Hibbler.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. Before we move to the consent agenda, let me just remind the public that there will be a public comment on any item on the consent agenda and the opportunity to pull any item off of that and put it onto the regular agenda. If you are viewing this by Facebook, there is potentially a delay. So if you wish to be involved in the meeting through a public comment or speak on an item, you should be linked in through the Zoom link or dial the call-in number. At this time, we have a consent agenda which consists of 3 items. Number 1 is just surety renewals and extensions. Number 2 is the Sumner Regional final plat, and number 3 is the paddock at Kennesaw Farms phases 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. Consent agenda items are fairly routine, and we, unless somebody wishes to remove one of those items off of that agenda and place it on the regular agenda, we vote on those as one item together. Does anyone on the commission wish to remove any of the 3 items from the consent agenda and place it onto the regular agenda? I think I have everybody on screen. I don't see anybody raising their hand. So at this time, I will open a public comment and ask the public either if they wish to remove any item off the consent agenda or if they simply have a comment about any item on the consent agenda. Josh, do we have anybody from the public who would like to speak?
If you are a member of the public and you would like to speak, please indicate by raising your hand in the attendee. And we also have one phone-in caller with the last four of 458. I'm going to go ahead and unmute your line. If you are last 3458, if you're here as a member of the public and would like to remove anything from the consent agenda, please indicate so. Last three of 458. You can also hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. Last three, 458.
Well, we have a vocal.
Mr. Puryear, no one has indicated they would like to remove anything from the consent agenda.
Okay. I thought maybe that was in regards to the paddock. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harris and a second by Mr. Strother. Any discussion on that, on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I will call entertain a vote or call for the vote. All in favor of approval of consent agenda items 1 through 3, please indicate in a roll call vote. Mary Ann, will you take a roll call vote?
Chair Puryear,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Councilman Fennell,
Aye.
Dr. Orgain, Mr. Strother,
Aye.
Ms. Hibbler.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Consent agenda has been approved. We'll move on to the regular agenda item number 4, which is resolution number 2020-112, State Route 25, Hartsville Pike, Annexation and Plan of Service. This item will come with a public comment if there's anyone in the public who wishes to speak on this item. First, we'll hear from the staff. Which staff member is handling this item?
Jillian Ogden, staff planner.
Go ahead, Jillian.
The city requests the approval of a request to annex 12.91 acres of state right-of-way. This action will clean up some existing zoning boundaries and is anticipation of future infrastructure needs in this area. The request only includes public right-of-way and does not involve any private property or adjacent property. The staff did mail letters out to adjacent property owners, and we posted some signs along Hartsville Pike to let adjacent property owners know that this request was being considered at Planning Commission. This request requires a public hearing and will go on to City Council with the Planning Commission's recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, and I assume that since the City of Gallatin is the applicant, do we have anybody that needs to speak on this further?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. At this time, I'll open it to public comment. Josh, would you please inquire if there's anyone in the public who would like to speak on this item?
If you are a member of the public and would like to speak on this item, please indicate so by raising your hand. And Mr. Chairman, while we wait for that, we've received no public comment via email or phone call prior to this meeting. And at this point, no one is indicating that they would like to speak on this item.
All right. I'm just trying to give a 5 to 7 second delay. Very well, then at this time, I'll close the public comment regarding item number 4. Does anyone on the commission have any questions for the staff? This really just looks very straightforward. It's just housekeeping and
Yeah.
a cleanup item.
Yeah.
I'll entertain.
I'll make
Go
a
ahead, Matt.
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Motion by Mr. Harris to approve.
Second.
Second. I'm sorry, I was speaking. Was that a second?
Yes.
By Mr. Wilson. All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Marion, will you please take a roll call vote?
Chair Pereira,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Dr. Orgain, Mr. Strouder,
Aye.
Ms. Hibbler.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approved. We'll move to item number 5, which is resolution number 2020-113. It's Greensboro Village PUD subdivision, rezoning of the theater parcel. And this item does include a public comment. First, we will hear from the staff. Which staff member is handling this item?
Dustin Shane, Gallatin Planning.
Thank you, Dustin. Go ahead.
This is basically just kind of a housekeeping item as well. They're asking to rezone portions of 2 lots and portions of 2 parcels totaling about 11 acres of the Greensboro Village PUD, going from the R6 PUD zoning to MRO PUD, as you see on the screen there. The highlighted yellow portion is what they're wanting to rezone. It's actually representing basically half of the theater parcel. It seemed to be an oversight in 2006 that zoning line was not extended. So this is just cleaning that up. It will create basically a little pocket down here of MRO zoning that could be used for future development, but the rest of it's pretty much just housekeeping. So thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Do we have a representative for the applicant present?
We have Will Hager and April Anderson, both with Lowe's and Associates. Will or April, your line is unmuted.
Thank you, Josh. Yes, like Dustin described, this is primarily a housekeeping matter, and we're hoping to adjust these zoning lines to make it more suitable for future development and clarify the intent of the master plan in this area. But we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. At this time, I will open it up to a public comment. If there is anyone in the public who would like to speak, but Josh, I'll let you ask the question.
If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item, please indicate so by raising your hand under the attendees. There is a raise your hand function. And Mr. Chairman, while we wait on that, we have received no emails or phone calls for public comment on this item. And at this time, no one has raised their hand indicating they would like to speak on this item.
Okay. Let me just give it a few second delay. Seeing no one, we will close the public comment for item number 6. Does any member of the commission have a question for either staff or for the representative of the applicant?
I got a question for staff. It's maybe just for clarification. So this is the parcel that currently has the movie theater built on it. So the R6 zoning that's there now wouldn't be correct for a movie theater. Is that my understanding?
That's correct.
Okay. So this brings it into compliance with what's already built there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It seems to have just been an error.
Okay. Yeah, that's this is pretty straightforward. So that was my only question. I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly.
If there are no other questions or comments, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve by Mr. Wilson and a second by Dr. Orgain, was it?
I will second.
Oh, all right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor indicate by answering aye to the roll call vote. Mary Ann, please take a roll call vote.
Chair Pereira,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Dr. Orgain,
Yes.
Mr. Strouder,
Aye.
Ms. Hibler.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 6, which is resolution number 2020-116, Appalachian Pipeline, an amended preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan. There will be a public comment with this item as well, but first we'll hear from staff. Dustin, I think you're handling this one.
That's right. So this is amending the PMDP for the Appalachian Pipeline. As you remember, it's over on the south side of Long Hollow, right next to Howard Elementary. All this is doing is proposing to remove the sidewalks and to add 4 trees to the site. Staff doesn't find any reason to either allow an alternative sidewalk plan or to allow contribution into the sidewalk trust fund, but there was discussion at the work session about possibly doing an alternative where they extend the sidewalk to the school driveway and remove the sidewalk along Eagle Drive, which is on the west, or I think Josh has suggested possibly striping the paved area here that's already existing as a walkway. So there may be some ideas about something alternative, but our recommendation is just to hold the applicant to the normal standard. Thank you.
And we have a representative for the applicant present.
Andy,
hello, can you hear me?
Andy, your line has been unmuted.
Yes, it's Fred Lysak. I'm with Appalachian. I guess, the main thing along there is there's no other sidewalk anywhere in that area. And, if we put a sidewalk along Long Hollow down to the school property, it can go anywhere. So what do people do when they get there? They walk out on Long Hollow Road, which doesn't seem to make any sense. And the same with coming down the Eagle Drive, it wouldn't go anywhere but along that couple hundred feet alongside our property and go right on to Long Hollow Pike again. And I don't think the object is to try and put people down onto Long Hollow Pike. We have no objection to taking out, the driveway up where the north, I guess be the northwest corner, which is very close to Long Hollow, taking that entrance way out of the way, putting a curb all the way along that Eagle Drive, and then just putting grass in there with the trees as stated. Don't have an objection to putting some money in the kitty so that whenever the Gallatin City does get the money to put sidewalks that will continue all the way through there, they have the money there to operate with. It just doesn't seem sensible right now with no other sidewalk anywhere in that area, in that neighborhood, whether it be the city of Gallatin's engineering department itself has no sidewalk, and that new subdivision townhouses that they're putting in has no sidewalks along Long Hollow.
Thank you, sir. Did you have anything additional to add?
no, that's about it. That was what we were looking at doing, just to try and make it smooth and make sure that, you know, the money was there if you needed to put the sidewalk whenever you needed it.
Thank you. At this time, I will open up a public comment. Josh, if you'll inquire if there's anyone in the public who would like to speak in regards to item number 6, Appalachian Pipeline.
At this time, please raise your hand through the attendees function if you would like to speak on this item. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a note. No one has emailed or called our office to give public comment before this meeting. And no one has raised their hand indicating they would like to speak on this item.
All right. Seeing no one, we will close the public comment on item number 6. Questions for either staff or for the representative of the applicant from the commissioners?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Dr. Orgain? Go ahead.
I built an office building in Hendersonville 30 years ago, and there were no buildings anywhere around it. So in lieu of building a sidewalk to nowhere, we offered Hendersonville the money. So they were going to start a sidewalk fund. And so now, 30 years later, buildings on all sides have sidewalks and we don't. And they don't have any money in their sidewalk fund to build the sidewalk. And I understand what the gentleman was talking about, but that area over time is going to increasingly become more residential in one form or another. And the idea of sidewalks are going to become more needed in the future. And I'm not saying I don't agree with him, but city issues, maybe Bill McCord could speak to it as to what the long-term plan is for sidewalks in that area. So.
The city's intent is to develop sidewalks primarily along all collector and arterial roads is primarily, and some certain local streets as well. And of course, with all new development and redevelopment, we require sidewalks to be built. Now, we do have a provision in our code which allows for property owners, if approved, to contribute to a sidewalk fund in payment, or provide that payment in lieu of constructing the sidewalk. But the original plan did show the sidewalks adjacent to the roadways. And, you know, you got to start somewhere. Otherwise, everyone will just contribute, or anybody who develops or redevelops in the corridor will just feel more obliged to perhaps pay into the fund. Now, it's true that down the street where the new apartment complex is, or it's been there a few years now, they did not build a sidewalk along Long Hollow Pike, but their property that they were developing was off the road. So there's a new street constructed up to that new apartment complex, and the apartment complex does not have frontage on Long Hollow Pike. When those front properties develop and they were designated for commercial use, they would be expected to build their section of sidewalk. Likewise, just up to the east is the New Wits barbecue site, and they constructed a sidewalk along their frontage there. And right now, that sidewalk does not connect to a sidewalk on either side of them. But eventually, when there's new properties developed or redeveloped, or the city comes in, or the state comes in and makes some changes to the road, other sidewalks will be added to that one as well. So it's happened in the immediate area. So, and there we go. You can see how it was constructed there. So you might say that's a sidewalk to nowhere, and very few people walk on it now, but eventually it will connect up as properties are redeveloped in this area. So that's the basis for our decision. It is close to a school. We're hoping that the school and maybe the city will be able to work with the state in at least building some sidewalks in closer proximity, including in front of the school.
I'm inclined to agree. This corridor along the way, over time is going to be more and more developed, and if we don't start putting sidewalks in on new projects, then every person that comes after will have the same problems that they're building a sidewalk to nowhere because there's nothing to connect to. So, and this being on the corner is probably a good place to start, and being right next to the school. So I don't see any reason to not put a sidewalk in. So, question for staff is I don't have it in front of me, but in the conditions of approval, is one of the conditions that the sidewalk be installed?
Do you want to?
It was shown on the previous plan. On the approved plan, it was already shown on there. So
Okay.
This plan is effectively just removes it.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had a resolution this time saying that, you know, in the affirmative that they could remove the sidewalk without any conditions spelled out, and we're just recommending denial of that resolution.
Okay. I got you. So
Yeah, who wanted? Albert, did you want to speak?
No, it was me. So just to make sure I understood, so to a vote for this item would be to remove the sidewalk. A vote against it would be to install the sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of times applicants come forward with a request to remove the sidewalk, and that request is driven by monetary reasons. I think this applicant is not making the request in order to, cut cost. I think they're willing to put the cost into a sidewalk fund because they sincerely don't believe that the sidewalk serves a purpose. But I sincerely disagree with it. I think that the sidewalk is absolutely necessary here as the first step, and then we need to lobby the county to step up and put sidewalks along that frontage of that school. And our gals, and I'll turn the attention to our engineering department. We need sidewalks in front of your facility. And maybe Councilman Fennell, maybe that's something that you can push for us for the city at the council level, appropriate some funding. I would definitely vote no on this resolution because I think the sidewalks need to be constructed there. Anybody else like to comment?
I agree.
I agree. We got to start somewhere.
Lana?
I said I agree also. I walk along there, and a lot of kids do walk on the roadway, which is not safe, and they don't really know what to do, but they need to get to school and ride their bikes. So that'd be a first step in safety measure and showing students and kids that they're important and their lives matter.
Would anyone else like to comment? Seeing none, I will.
Can you hear me, Josh?
Mr. Lysak, the public comment and the time for an applicant to speak is closed.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to get clarification on something I'd heard at the beginning. I just wanted to understand it for sure. And that was to put a sidewalk along the pavement that's already there. Is that part of that? Stripe it?
No.
No. Maybe that's a question for engineering, but I would assume that there would be a grass strip and then a sidewalk in the right of way for our subdivision regs. And, Brian, would you comment on that?
Yeah, I don't think that's what we're looking for necessarily, but whatever the decision is, that's going to be in a public access easement or a pedestrian access easement. So right now they've got it shown 6 feet off the right of way into their property. If we put it on the pavement, I don't know how you designate that without people parking on top of it. That would be an issue, I think. And then they still have to build it over to Eagle Drive and over to the school. So you're going from concrete to asphalt to concrete. And
What I was thinking about was if we put the sidewalk right on top of the asphalt, so it'd be raised up above the asphalt. But there is a real deep ditch right there, so I don't really know how you can, unless you cut all that bank out to put a sidewalk in, and how you retain that bank then, because it's quite a steep ditch right there in front of our property.
I think that would be okay if you raise that up. That keeps your landscaping in the front that you need to put in there. That works with the grades. That gives us what we want. You're just going to have to move that pedestrian access easement back into your lot and dedicate it.
Okay.
I think that would be a good compromise.
So, Brian, I just want to make sure we understand. Are we talking about a 6-foot grass strip and then a 5-foot sidewalk, or is the sidewalk directly adjoining the asphalt?
I think he wants to move the sidewalk into his lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to move the sidewalk into his lot where he's not using that asphalt pavement in front of his building.
Right. I'll take out some of that asphalt that's there that you're concerned that we might park on the sidewalk, and just put a sidewalk in there, raised it up above the asphalt. The main thing is get away from that deep ditch.
Mr. Chairman, he's just moving the sidewalk into his lot and utilizing some of that dead space there.
Then do we need to include any provision in our conditions, some type of maintenance agreement, since the sidewalk will not be within the public right of way?
Well, he'll have to dedicate an easement to us 6 feet wide for that.
Is that something we need to specify in these conditions? Well,
yeah, probably go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. We're about to vote no on this request. So it's not as if I can add conditions
to a no.
To a no.
Yeah. Maybe our city attorney can help us, or our planning director. You got any thoughts, Mr. Bill?
Yeah. There is some flexibility. We would just need to have them relocate, as Brian was explaining. The easement that's shown on the approved plan would just be moved further south from and be parallel roughly to the right of way. So that would need to be, it could be a motion to amend the plan and approve a plan that it moves the sidewalk, as opposed to approving the resolution and approving a plan without a sidewalk and payment into a trust fund for that sidewalk. So that would be another amendment that you would make. We will prepare the resolution and have it represent a sidewalk relocation along Long Hollow Pike in an area, and the applicant wants to move it up the slope. That shouldn't be a problem for us to put that together.
John, this is Latasha.
Yes, Ms. Alexander, please weigh in.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and make, if your goal is to deny the applicant's resolution, you could just make a motion to deny the resolution of the applicant and add an additional condition to the already approved master development plan or whatever, with the wording of what you are trying to get approved. So you can still, I'm saying, accomplish what you want to accomplish and then add a condition to what's already been approved in the past. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I think it does, except that I'm going to make a motion to deny the resolution of the applicant, and people are going to vote yes.
You're going to vote yes on both, because you want to deny what the applicant's asking for, and you're going to add an addition. You're going to add a condition to what you have already approved in the past. That's a yes.
Is that two separate votes, one to deny this and then one to amend the earlier approved plan?
I would say no, because whoever's making the motion, it's kind of like, this is your motion. The applicant's resolution and amend the already approved condition to move the sidewalk to where the applicant requested. So I think you can do it all in one motion.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make my best effort, unless somebody else has another comment.
Hey, John.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Alana?
I could take a step at making the motion.
Please do. Yes, please.
All right, I'll make a motion to deny the resolution presented by the applicant with an additional condition about regarding the sidewalk for it to be relocated in the proper area south as agreed upon by the staff and the applicant with all our comments.
I'll second her motion.
I'm just looking for staff's comments. Okay. Latasha, I hope you're going to step in and tell us if that's properly worded and if it achieves the objectives that we're after.
We will send that over there to her for review before we ask for final signatures on that resolution.
As
All
long,
right, thank you.
as long as everyone understands what you're voting on, that's what needs to be clear, because based on what you're telling me, John, the confusion might have been because you're denying and then amending what's already been approved. But at the end of the day, if you all understand what you're voting on, we're good.
Okay. I just want to state for everybody when we take this vote, if you vote aye, yes, then you are denying the applicant's request to remove the sidewalks, and you're putting an amendment to the original plan to move the sidewalks uphill away from the road. So with that, we'll take a roll call vote. Mary Ann?
Chair Pereira,
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson, Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Dr. Orgain,
Yes.
Mr. Strouser,
Aye.
Ms. Hibner.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to resolution number 2020-117, which is McCain Station Residential Phase 1, a final master development plan. Dustin, do you want to discuss two items at once in your presentation that would also be item number 8, which is McCain Station Phase 1 preliminary plat?
Yeah, I think that'd be acceptable, yeah.
Okay. Dustin.
So this is McCain Station, residential portion, phase 1. It's on 2 lots. Let's see, no. It is consisting of about 19 acres and 41 single-family homes, 55 townhomes, 4 roads, 6 open space tracts, and then 3 of those tracts being stormwater management areas. Everything on here matches the PMDP plan and the architecture that was approved at that time. There's just a few adjustments we need. Actually, the applicant pointed out to me today on our resolution, condition 4 list Gallatin Public Utilities as being the utility provider, and I want to strike that and say White House Utility District on condition 4. With the preliminary plat, same thing. Everything looks good. We do want them to include on your screen that stormwater area at the top. We want them to amend the plat to show that as part of this so that it matches the FMDP. But that's about it. So thank you.
We have a representative for the applicant.
I've got Wes McGill and Wes, your line's unmuted.
Hey, this is Wes McGill with Reagan Smith. Appreciate y'all's time tonight. We are in agreement with the staff conditions and the noted revision of changing it to White House Utility District. Be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Hey, Wes, I do have a question on the architecture. If we can go back to those elevations. There we go. And this was something we talked about at the preliminary stage. Just want to make sure I'm seeing you got kind of brick or stone around the water table or to grade just to keep any of the cementatious siding off the ground. Is that what I'm seeing on there?
Yes, sir. These are the elevations that were included with the PMDP as well.
Okay. Yep. That's what we talked about. So that looks good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll just ask, I'm scrolling back and forth through the items 7 and 8. Where does condition number 4 mention anything about Gallatin Public Utilities? It says to the Public Utilities Department.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear that we were submitting the White House Utility District and not Gallatin Public Utilities. I don't think there's any issues with that, just making sure that that was noted correctly, if there was any confusion.
Mr. Chairman, if y'all make the motion to modify that condition, we will make that change for the final resolution.
We can. I never saw anything that mentioned. It's on 8. It's condition 4 on item number 8. Okay. Well, we'll make that modification when we vote on item number 8. Any further questions from any member of the commission? Seeing none, we'll take a vote on item number 7, which is the Phase 1 Final Master Development Plan. Give me just a second.
Do you have a motion? Mr. Clear, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve item 7 with the modification to condition number 4 to word it to be White House Utility District in lieu of Public Utilities Department.
Well, just on a technicality, that was on item number 8, but in either case, we can make that on 7 and 8. I'll second the motion that Mr. Harris made. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a roll call vote. Mary Ann, please take the roll call vote.
Chair Pereira.
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson. Councilman Fennell.
Aye.
Dr. Orgain.
Yes.
Mr. Strouder.
Aye.
Ms. Hibler.
Aye.
Item 7 passes 7-0.
Thank you. And now I'll entertain a motion on item number 8, which is the Phase 1 preliminary plat, same property. And that is one where we clearly need to specify as White House Utilities instead of City of Gallatin.
I make a motion that we pass with the necessary change to White House.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve with all staff's recommendations, but changing item number 4 to read White House Utilities. And we have a second by, was that Councilman Fennell?
I didn't, but I will.
Okay, we have a second by Councilman Fennell. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the roll call vote. Mary Ann, if you'll please take a roll call vote.
Chair Pereira.
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson. Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Dr. Orgain.
Yes.
Mr. Strouder.
Aye.
Ms. Hibler.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 9 is, yes, sir? Oh, yes. Item number 9 is resolution number 2020-119, Noble Fields Townhomes. It's preliminary master development plan. And this one will come with a public comment. First, we'll hear from staff and then a representative of the applicant. Which staff member is handling this item?
Jillian Ogden, staff planner.
Thank you, Jillian. Go ahead.
The applicant requests approval of a preliminary master development plan for the Noble Fields Townhomes. The development is located at the corner of Coles Ferry and Airport Road. The property used to have 2 residential homes, but was rezoned to MRO in 2008 and 2009 in anticipation of a commercial multi-tenant building that was never built. Attached townhomes is a permitted use in this zoning district, but a PMDP is still required. The development includes 36 townhomes on fee simple lots to be accessed by a private street. Each unit includes a single car garage and a corresponding parking space. The driveways are not long enough for a car to be parked in front of each unit, so that's why they each have a parking space as well. Next slide, please. And one more. The landscaping plan shows the required buffers. As discussed at the work session, the developer has requested an alternative buffer yard along the east property boundary, which is adjacent to a strip of city property. We did have a meeting with the developer and the engineering department about the potential for that piece of city land to be included within this development to serve as a landscape buffer. The developer has indicated that he will install the sidewalk along Airport Road. And we did include a condition and left it a little open-ended to allow for the sale of that city land minus any land needed for right-of-way expansions in the future of Airport Road to the developer in the future, or the city and the developer can come to an agreement about the maintenance of that land without a change in ownership. Conversations concerning this topic will continue between the developer and the city as this project moves forward, but we did have that meeting, and the plan is showing landscaping and the use of that area as their buffer, as well as the sidewalk to be installed along Airport Road. Next slide, please. The architecture was updated to show a primarily brick front facade and a mix of brick, hardy board, and board and batten siding on the other 3 facades. Next slide, please. An alternative architecture plan would need to be approved for this development, as not all facades are 70% brick, but staff believes that the secondary facades, as shown on your screen, especially the rear facade facing the rights-of-way, has been substantially improved since the first iteration and are supportive of this request. The request requires a public hearing and will go on to City Council with the Planning Commission's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Preston and Brent Smith. If there's anyone else from your team that needs to be unmuted, please let me know.
Yes, this is Preston Ayer with Wold HFR Design. We are in agreement with the conditions presented by city staff, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
And Brent Smith is also I'm the developer of the property.
Thank you. Did you have anything to add, Mr. Smith? Seeing none, I'll open. This item does come with a public comment. So, Josh, if you'll please, we'll open the public comment.
Mr. Smith, I'm going to mute you. We're getting a little bit of an echo when your microphone's turned on. So if you just let me know if there's anything that you need to add to as the developer at this time.
Is this better now? Turn the volume down.
That helps significantly.
Okay, thank you.
If you are a member of the public and would like to speak about this item, please indicate by raising your hand at this time. And Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting for that, at this point, no one has emailed or phoned any public comment in to our department at this time.
All right.
I've got several names under attendees that are not coming up as applicants. So if you are a member of the public, this is your opportunity to speak your opinion about this project by indicating so by raising your hand. Mr. Chairman, no one has indicated that they would like to speak on this item.
All right, if y'all bear with me, let me just give it 5 or 10 seconds because we have several people listening in, and this is the last item on the agenda. So I just want to make sure that we give them the opportunity to speak if there's a delay. Well, seeing none, I'll close the public comment and we'll open it up to questions from the commissioners to the staff or the applicant.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I missed the last meeting. I was involved in a county meeting, so I believe you guys discussed this item on the last work session, correct?
Yes, sir.
My question to you, are any of these units right here for rent, or are they all for ownership?
These are all of these units are a for sale product.
Okay. That answered my question.
So my question maybe for staff is, this is a PMDP. Will we address the issues of a long-term maintenance agreement on that city-owned property and the assurance that the sidewalk will be constructed by the applicant? Will we address that at the FMDP stage?
I think the agreement with the city property will have to be discussed with city council. This PMDP does show the sidewalk. There's nothing stopping working with the developer to install the sidewalk because that's going to be in city right of way, and most public sidewalks are already in public right of way. But this will come back to you as a final master development plan as well.
Okay, so even though this PMDP shows the sidewalk going up Airport Road, that sidewalk is not part of the property in question that we're talking about. Do we need an amendment to staff's comment or condition added that the sidewalk will be constructed by the applicant on Airport Road?
Mr. Chair, since it's shown on the plans and it's in the right of way, that would be part of this plan. So the applicant intends to construct that segment of sidewalk along Airport Road and adjacent to the city sliver of land there. Unless the city,
okay,
the city may make some arrangement with the developer to either exchange property or allow them a right of way or property use agreement to do some landscaping in addition to that. And then there may even be discussion, and Brian, I don't know if you want to mention this, that it's possible that city council would be willing to relinquish a portion of that property to allow him to provide for landscaping or other minor modifications in exchange for building the sidewalk along that section of Airport Road.
Yeah, we had some preliminary discussions with the applicant about that. We seem to be in agreement with him putting in the sidewalk and for exchange of use of that property. Right now at a PMDP level, I think we can go ahead and let this go through and then revisit it again at the FMDP as far as what kind of conditions we want to make that agreement under.
May I interject as the applicant? A possible
yes,
solution to this is when we're doing our platting, would it be beneficial to just as part of the plat put a maintenance easement, convert that property to a maintenance easement that we're required to maintain, and then also a construction easement for the construction of the sidewalk along Airport Road in the plat that we'll be submitting?
It would be up to city council about whether to enter into a maintenance agreement to use city property for landscaping and have you maintain it. The sidewalk would be in the right of way either way, so there wouldn't be the need or shouldn't be the need for a construction easement for that. So I don't foresee that being necessary, but certainly the right-of-way or the use agreement would be appropriate.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was conveyed that it's our intention to not only put the sidewalk in, but do some landscaping improvements in that property, and then also to maintain it moving forward. So however we want it, we need to document that and just memorialize it. We're open to whatever satisfies the city.
I think, from my understanding, I think that those items will be specified at the FMDP stage, but at the PMDP stage, we're fine with this. How staff has written the motion and what's shown on the plans. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but just a comment to throw in for the discussion. Actually, I drive by this property every day, so I'm very familiar with the location. And I think this is a part of Gallatin that has got some great opportunities in the future as redevelopment happens along Airport Road to become a key part of the city. And, one of the concerns I've had looking at this is I think the front facades of the buildings look really good. The negative is they all face, to the interior, and along Coles Ferry and Airport Road, even with the landscape buffers, the rears of these are going to be very visible. And I do think the elevations on the rears of the buildings are vastly improved from before. However, driving around looking at the adjacent properties, everything around there, the apartment complex, just above this and the buildings down below, there's some other apartment areas there. Everything out there is almost 100% brick product. And so, looking at it as visible these are going to be, I think, I don't know that this corner is the place to do that much hardy board on the backs of the buildings that are that visible from the road. So I just kind of maybe ask everybody if you want to consider. I think this is probably one where we need to go back and hold the line on the 70% brick requirement on these elevations, just because they're so visible and everything else around it's brick.
And to respond to that, we are prepared and happy to abide by the 70% on all four sides.
Okay, I appreciate that, because I do think I think that's a corner that over time is going to be a prominent corner for the city, and that would be a good thing to have there.
Yeah, we agree.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being willing to do that. So
not only willing but happy to.
Okay.
So,
you want to put that in your motion to modify the resolution?
MDP or right now?
Well, we need to address the architecture at this stage, I believe.
Yeah, you do. Please do.
So I mean, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the item with staff's eight conditions, but adding condition number 9 that the elevations be revised to come into compliance with the 70% brick rule.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. We have a motion to approve with all staff's conditions, plus the condition that they come into compliance with 70% brick or masonry rule. Mary Ann, will you call for the roll call vote?
Chair Pereira.
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Dr. Orgain.
Yes.
Mr. Strouser.
Aye.
Ms. Hibler.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, thank you. That concludes all the items on the regular agenda. I think staff has some other business items to address, so I'll turn it over to staff.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention briefly a couple of things. The planned Gallatin Visual Preference Survey was recently finished or completed and closed. and we had about 800 responses. Hope you had a chance to, each of y'all had a chance to participate in that and express your preferences. If you may recall, the survey included a number of photographs, and you were asked to choose your, on a sliding scale, how much you thought that would be an appropriate type of development to build in Gallatin and the type of development. So no real surprises here. There's affinity for the people who did reply for large lot single family subdivisions, which it's not really a surprise, and a less support for smaller lot subdivisions, and certainly very little support, if you will, for multifamily or apartments, including mid-rise and high-rise apartments. There was support for more of the traditional neighborhood development pattern, the suburban lifestyle centers. Not very much support at all for strip developments, and I think that primarily pertains to strip commercial developments. There was moderate support for mixed-use walkable corridors. Not a whole lot of support for mid-rise or high-rise developments, and that's really not a surprise to any of us. I think somewhat maybe contradictory in some of the responses, but the demographics are also going to be available, and a final report will be provided so that you'll be able to see the types of responses that we received to each of those questions or preference surveys. And then, of course, the demographics will reveal the population that responded or how they responded. And then there was, of course, not all questions were answered by all the respondents, but so keep an eye out for that. We're going to be kind of gearing up or ramping up development of the comp plan now that we have this information available. It's not necessarily going to direct completely the policies that are promoted or promulgated in the document, but it's certainly something that we'll need to look at. And that may mean that there's more restrictions placed on some of those types of uses that are not as favorable. Also, then wanted to report to you that the Architectural Advisory Committee has completed their business and has a draft ordinance that they will be making a recommendation to the Planning Commission, and we'll have that on the work session for discussion next month, and then at the regular meeting for y'all to vote on a proposed code amendment addressing actually what it does now. It addresses two separate articles or sections in our code, the accessory structures section in Article 12, and also the architectural provisions in Article 13. So be prepared for that, for discussion on that. And the committee worked hard on that. They started back in the spring and just finished up last week. So they have been bouncing the ball back and forth and discussing some of the pros and cons of what we're dealing with as far as architecture in certain circumstances. So other than that, appreciate y'all showing up tonight. And
Bill, I have one thing to add. At the work session, Chair Puryear brought up the question about training. We are hoping to have a guest speaker after each the work session and the Planning Commission meeting for September. And then we've also identified some YouTube training that you all can view from home and self-certify for your 4 hours of training for 2020. It's been a little bit more challenging to put it together this year, and hopefully 2021 won't be nearly as difficult as this year has been.
Well, if there are no other announcements, then instead of taking a roll call vote, everybody that wants to get home to their supper, raise your hand. We are adjourned.
Here, thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Motion adjourned.
So moved. Let's go.
Second.